get rid of our inner critique. Now, who is your inner critique? And some of us might think that, oh, we don't have one. Now, he has a voice that is harsh, demeaning, and criticizes sometimes with no object. The self-criticism is so harmful for you. He is also always talking about your weakness and lacks.
Hi, my name is Minnku, Buttar. As a passionate creator of retreats and well-being plans, there is one thing I have understood of life, and that is that even rock bottom of life can offer us magical new possibilities and beginnings. All you have to do is show up authentically, intentionally, and willingly. Join me to build something truer and more joyful as I bring you the wisdom of my guest speakers from around the world in this talk show, Choosing Joy, Secrets and Stories from Around the World. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Namaste, everyone. My name is Minnku Buttar, your host from India. And today, right now, I'm going to steal this moment to thank you all from across the globe for reaching out in love and ask why I hadn't published any episodes for the last 5 months. And it means so much that you care. And I want to say I am well. And at least this was deserved. I needed to tell you all I am well. And I'm back in a brand new avatar with renewed energy and so excited to share the new look and the feel of a talk show, Choosing Joy, Secrets and Stories from Around the World. Well, the other thing I wanted to share before we start on this very exciting episode, a huge comeback, that this pause also allowed me an intentional deep dive into life. And as a watcher and a listener, I observed people's fears, uncertainties, and a very strange disconnect from their own selves and the world around them. And I was convinced that to navigate life's flow and challenges, one must connect with the self. And so my conviction made for a wonderful comeback topic for this talk show. And today, to have this deep dive conversation with me on this, I can't imagine anyone more special and more apt than my special guest speaker today. Well, she's a renowned wellness advocate for the mind and body. She's a certified BioDynamic Breathwork practitioner. She's a Reiki master, a sound healer, and a podcaster of Living with Intention series. And her own life's intentions are to assist individuals, organizations, and communities to live a balanced life through mindful practices, meditations, and emotional intelligence techniques that work from inside out. Please join me to welcome all the way from United States, April Wyett. Welcome, April.
Oh, Minnku, this is very exciting to be here with you, my friend. Oh my goodness. I mean, just look at you. You are just the light. I know everybody can see it radiating from you and feel it. That's the beauty, that's the essence. And this is, as you're talking about this topic, right? Connecting with the self. You know, that is your passion, to be that ripple effect across the globe, which I'm so excited to be here with you.
Oh, thank you, April. Is it any doubt why you needed to be the first comeback series episodes guest speaker? And thank you for being so patient, because we connected maybe and we connected so beautifully about 6 months ago, and you had me on your talk show as a guest speaker, and we talked about less is more, I think, right?
Yes, we did. And that was an inspiring conversation. I had to break it down into 2 separate episodes, because you impact so much of how we have the less clutter of thoughts, right? And you so perfectly described, being within ourselves, that we can receive more in our lives, as you eloquently also talked about in your TED Talk, right? The art
Of thinking,
of,
of
yeah,
thinking.
yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for remembering and appreciating and bringing that up. I think my TEDx talk was almost one of the toughest things I've done after, giving birth to my two children. The birthing of that TED talk is another story, but today we are going to bring this focus right back to you and your thoughts and your wisdom and have this wonderful, meaningful conversation. So let's jump right into it, April, with a lot of love. My first question to you is, what does connecting with the self even mean? I mean, to you personally, is it the same as connecting with a subconscious?
Yeah. Yeah, that's such a deep, deep question. And first, I want everybody to just to clarify the concept of self, because there's so many different perceptions or ideas of what the self is. And some people might be thinking who they are in the world, right? How they're showing up as a mother, a father, a caregiver, a friend, or maybe even the current role that they are in the workforce. And these are important, but they're just kind of surface level, right, Minnku?
Absolutely.
And the approach I have about self goes, as we said, right, deeper. It's our innate being. It's the essence of who we are. And it's the place, maybe if you can right now, if you're not driving or working, if you have a moment right now, maybe I can share a little glimpse of what this self, this place is. It's when we feel the connection to our higher power, to God, to whomever we connect to, right, in those spaces. That's when we're connecting to our true self. So when we invite just a short pause here and take a breath in, right, and shift away from the mind, just breathing down into our bodies, wherever you land is perfect. This is where we remember who we are. When we're in alignment with appreciation, with gratitude, joy, and love. This is the space where we're connected to self. And just being in that moment and feeling, even if you're on the outer edges of yourself, that's okay too, right? As long as you're self-aware, the awareness of where you're at right now is perfect in this moment.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Gosh, April, in just that few seconds, just with the calm and the deep space of authenticity that you spoke with, I actually deep dived right in. I touched my heart, my inner self, and it's very emotional to be in there. So for me, my understanding is to connect with my internal makeup, which is what, amazingly, magically you did just now. And also, I think, April, it's that space where I acknowledge my sacred self and my shadow self. These scary parts that we don't want to acknowledge. A lot of people. So, a very curious question to you, April, that, there's a lot of people out there who probably don't even think about these precious connections with their souls. Maybe it's resistance, maybe it's fears of the unknown, or it's a lack of desire, irrespective. How about we indulge them? And I want to ask on their behalf, why is it really important to stay connected with ourselves, or even have this mind, body, soul connection? Why? Would you like to
Mm.
address the why?
Oh, of course. And, that happens a lot. People ask, why is this important? And it's because this is where our true wisdom lies.
Mm,
And what happens mostly, I think I'm probably going to answer more questions here before you even ask them, uh, is when we're up in our minds are amazing. I'm not saying we need to let go or the death of the ego. You need to just make sure that's gone, as you said so perfectly, Minnku. We need the shadow part. We need our egos to be in like a co-pilot, right? They're not flying the jet or driving the bus, but we need a co-pilot. We still need that uh, part of ourselves.
mhm,
Although when it's in the driver's seat and we're on that constant hamster wheel or that go, 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 then we lose that connection to self that is filling our cups, right? With that joy and appreciation and love of the true essence of who we are. So that way, when we interact with other people, we come from that space instead of more of the fear and the doubt
mm,
and the judgments that we heavily weigh, upon ourselves. And I want to also just say really quick, when we find ourselves in those moments,
mhm,
right, of the mind, of that driving force of keep going, you have to prove our worth type thing, this isn't good or bad. It's not good or bad. Our brain is doing its best to protect ourselves, right? And it activates the sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, freeze, fawning. So we're either in hyper or hypo
yeah.
mode, which is dysregulation. It's bringing the awareness of, oh, I'm really feeling activated right now.
Mm,
I'm aware of how that thought made me respond or react in a certain way.
mm.
And then we can step back and just do the best that we can to tap back into the self, because
Mm.
that's where our wisdom is.
And also, I think, April, that's where our belief, our values sit. It's
Mm,
also where our memories are stored and processed. So I think it's beautiful what you said from even not just a holistic, but a physiological aspect of it would be how beautiful it would be to separate, have the ability to separate illusion and negative energy. And I always call uh, our subconscious a backup generator. So I always feel
yes.
I always feel you better have a good rapport in case your electricity goes off. I mean, the mind always takes over. So thank you for just emphasizing how important, why it's important to stay connected to this segment of our DNA. And it pretty much sounds like, April, living a meaningful life, you cannot have a disconnect with yourself. So why do you think, April, why are we fallible humans not able to stay connected to our authentic selves? And I
Mm,
read and I heard your podcast on this beautiful one that really, really was fascinating for me. It's stories that keep us stuck. So I was just wondering if we're talking about the same thing, getting stuck in a loop that does not allow us to connect with self. And I would love your interpretation of these stories that stick to us, not allowing us our potentials.
mm. Yeah, we all have these thoughts.
Mhm.
And I like to say that, they're stories, as again, as I mentioned in the very beginning about your, TEDx of the art of thinking
Mhm.
and being aware of the limiting beliefs, those belief systems, which I call BS in a playful way, right?
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
it stems from that inception, right, of perception of how we're raised and what stories we tell about ourselves, about others, about situations in the world, when we really don't know. We really don't know. We're
Mm,
just going off of what our past experiences are and trying to project that into the future, which is not reality at all.
mm,
And so these stories that we keep telling ourselves, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how I can move out of this relationship or move out of this current job situation and do what I really want to do. It takes too much time. It's going to take too much money, right? Our minds, again,
mm,
are giving you all the reasons why we can't do it,
mm.
because it likes to keep us safe in that box.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
likes to, it's really comfortable in there. We become comfortable in our uncomfortableness.
That's beautiful.
And
Mm,
those stories that we tell about, ourselves, other situations, they're validating the emotions that are coming up.
mhm.
And those emotions really hook us, don't they?
They do. They
They
do.
validate, I'm feeling this way, so it must be true.
Mm, mm. That's amazing. And I think you need courage.
Oh,
You need
yes.
courage, you need clarity, and you need to want, you have to have the hunger to connect and have that fulfillment. Um,
Oh,
and
most definitely.
yeah, and self-reflection then, April, makes it a very humbling process, actually. Don't
Mm.
you think, if you allow it?
Oh, yes. And can I give you a personal example that I had?
Please do. Please do.
I was stuck in my own story of I'm middle-aged. Well, at that time I was like 30, 36, a mother, uh, a wife. I had started my degree before I got married, and then I left that behind because I had a beautiful experience with my husband, traveling the world, living in Japan for a total of 10 years,
Mhm.
all of those things. It was wonderful. Although when we came back to the States, there was something about what am I to do? What's here for me?
Mhm.
And so I decided to go back to college to finish my degree. But those ruminating old thoughts
Mm.
came in of, how can you do that? What makes you so special? I heard these thoughts that
Yeah.
you think that you can go do these things.
Mm.
What even degree will you get? And then what are you going to do? All these
Yeah.
questions
Yeah.
already defeating me when
Mm.
I was having this moment of, okay, this is what I want to do for myself. And then everything unraveled, and it was a beautiful expansion.
Mm.
Although, just as you said, Minnku, so perfectly, it was the courage. I had to do this for myself. Nobody else was going to do it for
Good
me.
for you.
And so, with that courage and commitment to myself, things shifted. The family dynamic shifted, right? It was, things are shifting,
Mhm.
and that's okay. Uh, but the big ruminating thought that I heard over and over and over again was my father's voice
Mhm.
saying, you have dyslexia, and you're going to have to study harder, twice as hard than any other student. And this is going to be something that's going to plague you for the rest of your life.
Mm.
That's the
Wow.
voice I heard.
Mm.
And with my meditation, because I started Reiki at that time and I really applied Reiki, And I would meditate in the mornings, and that's when I started observing those ruminating thoughts, those loops. And it wasn't even my voice. And I found it so alarming yet fascinating. Like, what?
The inner critique.
I've been carrying this whole time,
Yeah,
to keep in that
yeah,
box of
yeah.
don't even try and expand past this because of X, Y, and Z. But when I allowed myself the courage and the space to expand, then it was a huge shift. And that's how I'm here today, really, to be honest with you. That's
That is
exactly how I'm here
so
today. And it's the
beautiful.
ripple effect.
That is
Keeps
so
going.
beautiful. That
It's
is,
that risk. Yeah, it's the risks
it's the rest
for our growth.
for a, yeah, that is beautiful. You need to be courageous, you need to be brave, and you should be willing to take those risks. And on that note, since you mentioned my TEDx, it took me 29 years to say I'm going to do this. So the gym, the little seed, whatever, the sprouting happened 29 years ago. And yes, it takes a lot of courage. And for me, my dark shadows was, what if I forget and the whole world is watching? And like you said, when you're rooted in your convictions, and that went on to become the sixth most watched in the world in the November of 2022. So I think you have to break these shackles. And another thing, April, every time we've had a conversations, another thing that you and I are very aligned with is to be happier and joyful and to live in one's flow. You have to be aligned to your soul's purpose. And there comes intention. So I'm just going to break this up into two questions. What are your thoughts on soul purpose, and what did you feel is your soul purpose?
Mm. Wow, that's a huge question, Minnku.
We could talk
Just
about
going to
this.
be honest here.
Yes, but in
So,
brief, let's just to get a teaser, and this is something I'd love to come back and discuss in detail with
of
you another
course,
time. But what are your thoughts on soul purposes for people and yours?
I believe from my own experience, I can only speak from my experience,
Mhm.
is the more I can be centered, be connected, the better I feel about myself. And the better I feel about myself, that helps guide me through the purpose. I'm not saying it's a destination.
Mm.
It's we are living it right now. And people might think, what? I don't like where I'm at right now. Well, that's asking us to grow. It's saying, hey, you're feeling this way, but you want to be over here. So how are you going to show up for yourself? And that's how we can really align with our purpose or our intention in life. And it might look one way, now, and then 5 years from now, it might be different. And that's okay.
Mm.
Because I think a lot of people get stuck in the mind of the expectations and outcomes of how it should look. Oh, if I do this meditative practice, or I get really into yoga, or have that mind-body connection, then everything's going to align and I'm going to be shown my soul's purpose. Well, we are material beings living in this environment. So we
Yeah.
have kind of like a contrasting happening, and it's okay. Remember, it's not good or bad. It's
It,
just knowing that we can
it
still
is.
choose
It
and
is.
connect, yeah,
Mm.
for that purpose,
Mm.
whatever that is. And it's unfolding in the moment. It's moment by moment unfolding.
That's so, what a pragmatic approach to looking at life, April. That's beautiful. Let's not get stuck into what we have interpreted or say the scriptures, or the media, or whatever reading you've done. Let's not get restricted by an imagination, an idea that we might have formed. And when I think of our soul, I don't know how you visualize your soul, April, but for me, I think of it as this vast, very primordial cosmos inside us, with this so much of wisdom. And I always, when I think of my soul, I feel like we must approach it with a lot of reverence, a lot of love, a lot of delicacy. It's like entering a church or a temple with a lot of quiet humility. Don't you think?
Oh,
It's so sacred.
it is. And we need to approach ourselves. This is the door. We are the door to that beautiful, like you said, that sacred space. And when we recognize that we are all, and all is me,
Mm.
we are all interconnected.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence that whoever's listening right now or watching, it could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years from now, whatever alignment, right, resonated with ourselves, we are one. We are one soul, I would say.
Connect and connect.
Mhm.
That is just so,
It's just like cells in the body,
yeah,
right?
interconnected, or it's like the branches reaching out
Yes.
to the cosmos. It's
Yes.
beautiful. So I think I know we could talk on and on and on. I just want to, leave a little bit of action point. That's how I like to finish conversations. And I think you've made some just amazing practical, pragmatic points on why it is necessary to stay connected with yourself. And April, can you share some ways that our audience can stay connected with their selves day to day? How
Mm.
does one start living with intention, if I can put it like that?
Ah, thank you. Thank you
Ma-
for asking,
Magic
Minnku.
question.
Yeah. So I say the easiest way to connect is our breath. Our breath is easy. We're doing it, although it's more about the conscious breathing. So it's a powerful way to reset and restore, right? Our minds and our bodies is the breath. And so that way you can easily connect with ourselves easily. So as I learned in the BBTRS, the BioDynamic Breathwork and Trauma Release System, it's that felt sense of the body, as I talked about before. So even pausing and feeling the air flowing in through your nose, traveling down through your throat, down into your lungs, and then releasing back out. That's feeling, it's giving your mind something else to focus on, and knowing that you are replenishing your cells and your blood and your brain. And this is what working from the inside is all about. It's as easy as your breath. So that's what I say, is I say, focus on your breath. Even if it's an app on your phone, go out in nature, sit at the base of a tree if you can, or just go for a walk and breathe in the air. We forget that we're animals. We forget that we need nature. We need this vitality, and it restores us.
The
And
forest
it's shown.
bathing. Yeah, the forest
Yes.
bathing, as you've lived in Japan, and they do that all the time.
Oh,
It's huge, right?
Yes, it's huge. And they're very intentional with their gardens,
Mhm.
right? And I've seen so many beautiful Japanese gardens, and even climbing Mount Fuji. You know, she is not forgiving. She
Oh, did you did
she
you
is
did you do
she
that?
yes. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
lava rock when you're climbing up, and then it's the sand, the grit when you're going back down on the other side. So really, I had to be conscious. I had to be aware of my breathing because you can get altitude sickness.
Yeah.
And where am I stepping? So that's even something symbolic through life. You can even, a person can even think of that, you know, where am I? How am I walking? Where is my breath right now?
Mhm.
How am I connecting to the earth? Right? Because this is our foundation of
Yeah.
support. And then how am I showing up for myself? So
Mhm.
this is ways to reconnect with ourselves, with our essence, and just allow those tensions to melt. You know, not to be so hard on ourselves, as you said, Minnku, in the very beginning. You know, having that compassion, having that kindness. That's where
Wow. Yeah.
that's where it starts.
That's
Yeah.
where that sacred space absolutely sits and thrives, nourishes you. That is amazing. You make me think and go back in time, April, of when I went to Mount Kailash, which is
Oh.
one of the very strong energy points in the world, believed to be the abode of Lord Shiva. And
Mm.
I think perhaps even in just the last 5 or 6 years, I probably could not connect to that earth as much. And the altitude sickness set in, and I just couldn't finish the last 2 days of the parikrama, which is the walking around Mount Kailash. And I think if today I had to do it differently, I would just connect so much more to these beautiful elements and be in so much of gratitude for my breath. So thank you, thank you, April, for such a beautiful heart that you have and sharing it with our listeners from around the world. Uh,
Thank you, Minku. And I just want to say, if you don't mind,
of course.
that when people visit my website, they can see that I offer a free, you know, restorative meditation with Reiki the first Thursday of each month. And I have other wonderful resources on there too.
Uh,
And also not only just my podcasts and YouTube channel, but the newsletters. As you've seen, you know, I'm very intentional of offering, you know, motivational tips and resources to bring balance back into our lives.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, and one of the big ones is a Bali retreat that I'm offering in November.
That's true. That's
Yes,
true. That's huge. And
it's huge.
I'm looking at that quite seriously. And all you know,
Oh,
April, that might become my birthday gift to myself.
oh, I just got chills. I
It
just
would
got
be
chills.
joyful to be able to be there, physically be there in soul connection and do this with you. So thank you for sharing. I just want you to quickly tell everyone the name of your website and where can they get you.
Okay, thank you again, Minku. It is www.livingwithintention.co. And you can find me on LinkedIn, April Wyett, Wyett, as you can see down here.
Yes.
And podcast, also Living with Intention on YouTube and on all channels that you can listen to. So it's just been such an honor, my friend. It really has. I love co-creating with you. I
Always.
feel like we're sisters from another space and time, and this is how we're able to just
Yes.
seamlessly connect. And
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, I always have some quirky, it's always nice to go intense, but to have a very balanced life, it's very important to have fun. And so I always have some quirky, spontaneous answers for my rapid fire questions that I ask for. So I'm going to shoot you about 5 or 6 rapid fire questions.
Okay,
April,
shoot away.
if that's okay with you. And, just feel free, whatever comes out, comes out. So the first one, I'm going to shoot that, like you said. Destiny or free will to change destiny?
Free will.
Oh, lovely. 2 words that describe you?
Fun and vibrant.
Yes. Bali, here we come.
I know, that's it. I'm just already there. I'm already there.
Finish the sentence for me. When you are bored, you dash, dash, dash.
When I'm bored, I dance. I put on
Oh,
some music, some old school music, and I dance. I do. I dance it out. Anytime I have
that is
any boredom or
awesome.
stagnant,
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome. That's
dance.
what I do. A color that best describes your personality?
I would say green. I'm wearing green today. So
Yes, yes, yes. If you were given the gift of being able to erase one thing from existence, what would that be?
not to do it.
Ah, oh, okay. That becomes the topic for another episode.
Not to do it. It's there for us to learn.
Yeah, yes, yes.
And
Absolutely.
to understand more about ourselves. So
Wonderful. Talking to animals or aliens?
are animals aliens?
Well, you never know. They're watching us.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a dog, Arlo, so I'll just say animals for right now.
Animals, right. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you, April, for being so authentic. And I would like to finish with a saying from Carl Jung, who said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. So an unexamined life is not worth living. So join me, April, in wishing everyone lots of peeping into their hearts. And join me
Yes.
to say bye to everyone.
Thank you all. It's a blessing to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you once again, April. A pleasure to have you here. All right.